What's going on, everyone? Cisco ACI 6.0 with VMware. In this step, we're going to provide an introduction to Cisco ACI when deployed with VMware. It provides the hypervisors, programmable, automated access to high performance and scalable virtualized data center infrastructure. Cisco ACI VM networking enables consistent enhancement of policies across both virtual and physical workloads that are managed by hypervisors from multiple vendors. What you see here is the APEC, Cisco APEC Application Policy Infrastructure Controller is the unifying point of automation and management for Cisco application-centric infrastructure Cisco ACI Fabric. The Cisco APEC provides the centralized access to all fabric information and optimizes the application lifecycle for scale and performance, supporting the flexible application provisioning across physical and virtual resources. Cisco ACI Virtual Machine Networking provides hypervisors for multiple vendors, programmable and automated access to high-performance scalable virtualized data center infrastructure. This time we're going to use spine 1, spine 2, leaf 1, leaf 2, APEC 1, APEC 3, APEC 2, APEC 3, and we're going to use the virtual center server 7.0 appliance with VMware ESXi 7.0. First and most, I will have to take a look at the APEC system. As you know, it's the main architecture components of the Cisco ACI. It's a unified point of automation and management for Cisco ACI Fabric. And it defines policy, defines health monitor, lets you take a look at like performance, agility, and the APEC client is deployed in a cluster. And the minimum 3 controllers are configured in a cluster to provide the control of Cisco ACI Fabric. The APEC automatically discover via LLDP the new switches that are directly connected to any switch it currently manages. So each APEC instance in the cluster first will discover only the leaf switches to which it is directly connected. After the leaf switch is registered with the APEC discovers all spine switches that are directly connected to the leaf switch. As each spine switch is registered, that APEC discovers all leaf switches that are connected to that spine switches. As you can see in this diagram, as each spine switch is registered, APEC discovers all leaf switches that are connected to that spine switch, right? And this cascade discovery allows APEC to discover the entire ACI site topology and automatically configure VXLAN, ISIS, multicast, and more in a few simple steps. So the scenario provides a just overview of APEC's system health dashboard and provides information on how to drill down into health score to identify a root cause in APEC. What I have to show you is, the system health dashboard. The system dashboard shows how you log in the global administrative rights and you view includes all system components. And it shows you a single pane of the view which provides a centralized application level visibility with real-time application health monitoring, access physical and virtual environment. And it shows you the health score and explain how the health score is displayed in the components that are being monitored by APIC. For example, you could see the fabric health, the connections to virtual and the physical environment, and it shows the left panel that contains the health score for the overview system as well as specific components. Also, this shows the right panel contains the faults and accounts based on the areas that have errors. In the dashboard, let's double click system-wide. This line shows all the faults, and we're going to double click like some infrastructure environment. For example, the environment fault is with the PSU errors, and we're going to double click this error and see more of the detail information. The fault in the fault properties. In the general tab, let's check the fault code and affected object. You'll see this very clear, right? Go back to system dashboard. Let's double click leaf 1. In the leaf 1 window, we're going to click the gear icon in the upper left corner, and then we're going to uncheck the box and show all components. Here, scroll down until the equip shows the equipment policy entity. There you go. This elements with a health score of 90 days display, 90 displays. And then we're going to see the power supply that is showing fault. We're going to right click and show fault. In here, examine the resulting table, which shows detail of the faults. The view is the same as the fault view I saw in the dashboard. Let's close the show fault window. In the fabric, and we're gonna click topology. I'm showing some good stuff in topology. I'll click topology. It shows graphical representation of the APIC fabric. In the menu, we're gonna double click the leaf 2, and we're gonna see the summary for that leaf. Open up the leaf 2. Click the interface. You can see the details in the GUI that you previously would use in show command to view. For example, you can expand the protocol and see the routing table, LLDP neighbors, and other items. Protocols. Let's click tenants for now. In the ACI, we're going to see that 4 tenants are configured. There are common, infra, and management, and we have created TSW tenant 0. So let me explain those predefined the tenants. The common tenant contains policies for load balancers, firewalls, and their 4 and 7 service. Infra contains the policies for operating infrastructure resources, such as VXLAN and overlay. MGMT contains policies for fabric management such as in-band, out-of-band configuration, OOB management, address spaces, etc. Go to operations. So I want to show you some visibility and troubleshooting features. Let's launch the troubleshooting wizards. In the visibility troubleshooting display, here we're going to give it a session, a TSW, session 1, and session type will make endpoint to endpoint. Description, say troubleshooting session 1. Targets, we want to make a targets 10.193.101.14. Click search. Destination 10.193.102.17. Also click search to find out this. The time window, we either use the drop down or choose server minutes for the session. Or check the user fix the time and select it from 2, right? So we're gonna to reduce the wait time and I'll change to about 10 minutes. In the APIC, it will start live troubleshooting and builds a logical topology that's based on the source and destination. Click the submit. Here you see the troubleshooting, the topology. We're going to load the topology for a while. Here you go. It's supposed to be connection for the leaves, but it's simulator. I'm okay. Just for you to know, we can see all the faults window and view the drop and stats. Okay, I'll see the contracts. Contracts are enforced between the EPG endpoint groups, as bidirectional contracts are showing in this. Alright, we're gonna do some real work, which is connecting the VMware ESXi to the ACI. First, let me talk about this. We are going to connect two Cisco UC as servers running ESXi to ACI fabric through connections to the leaf switches. The ESXi hosts that are dual homed to the switches that are showing in this diagram. So also we instantialize the API relationship between the APIC and the vCenter that allows the APIC to create a new DV switch to ESXi host. It is vSphere distributed switch, okay? The APIC then controls the new DV switch, distributed switch, allowing dynamic creation of new port groups for their associated VLANs. This is known as VMM domain. ACI will use a template approach to interface configuration, which provides network administrators with a consistent configuration of core switch interface. In this example, we create an interface template, which we call the policy group for our ESXi host, that we apply to the leaf switch. When the interface template has been assigned, we then associate it to an interface. That interface template has been assigned. We will assign the interface to a template. We call it the policy group also, and we'll ensure consistent configuration for all the interface. So each configuration settings in ACI is known as a management object, MO, management object. So this is the whole list example of how interface MOs mapped to traditional network terms. What you see here is the leaf switch profile. In tradition, it represents one or more physical switch. For example, we can say there's a leaf 1 and leaf 2 and etc. Okay, and leaf interface. What is leaf interface profiles? Is a definition, logical definition of a switch interface. Well, we could say the leaf 1 is leaf 2 interface. And here you see is the access port selector, interface selector. It represents the one or more interface switches of the interface. For example, Ethernet 1/4 or Ethernet 1/5, etc. We're going to select the interface. The policy group, this is interface settings. For example, we have a CDP enabled, we have a LLDP enabled. Okay, and what is AAEP? AEP is object represents allowed VLANs. VLANs. This is used for switch trunk, allowed VLANs, and we have a domain. It could be 3 domains like VM domain, physical domain, L3 domain, etc. The objects will reference where I can use VLANs. The VLANs used for the EXI, for example, it will use for ESX host. Okay, and pools. Pools is object of a list of VLANs. The power of interface template model becomes apparent as I configure more switches and interface. For example, in this lab, we configure just the 4 interface for 2 on each interface. Okay, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4. However, when I complete the base configuration work, I can configure thousands of interfaces, of course, hundreds of switches simply just by referencing the same templates. As I discussed, we have to create a VMM domain profile. What is showing VMM domain profile? Okay. The ACI Fabric Virtual Machine Management stands for VMM. Cisco ACI Fabric Virtual Machine Manager. This domain will enable administrator to configure the connectivity policies for virtual machine controllers. The essential components of an ACI VMM domain that will include the virtual machine management profile. The group VM controller with a similar network policy requirements. For example, we have a VM controller that can share VLAN pools and application endpoint groups. For example, we can share with EPGs. And APIC communicates with the controller to push network configurations, such as we can push the port groups, and APIC will apply to the virtual workloads. And VM domain policy profile includes credentials. We have to configure it with the credentials and controller. What's the EXXi controller? And EPG, EPY associated EPGs, and we have a AEP. We talk about AEP. Also, we have to associate this thing. Create push when you create VM domain. Again, so credential is associated with a valid VM controller, username, a credential with a APIC VM domain. So you gotta provide me some credentials to log in, right? Credentials, right? And controller, they'll have a ACI, VM controller, and that's how to connect the VM controller. That's a part of a policy enforcement domain. For example, like controller will specify connection to the VM vCenter. There's a vCenter, that is part of the VM domain, and we associate the EPG. The endpoint group will provide the VLAN security boundary by creating discrete port groups on the VM DS, the DS switch. And we have AEP. AEP we discussed is binds a range of VLAN to the switch interface. Right, it goes to this line to switch interface. Binds. Okay. These parts will have VLAN pools. The VLAN pool will specify the VLAN ID and the ranges from, for example, 1500 to 200, 2000. This VLAN will be bind to the AEP pools. It will be consumed by the VMM. The first thing we're going to do is to create a DV switch in Cisco ACI. I will confirm that a vCenter does not have a DV switch. There creates the integration with the Cisco APIC. In this step, we'll confirm that a vCenter does not have a DV switch. We don't have DV switch. At this time, log on to the vCenter. We don't have it. Expand the VC Corp pseudo core. I was noticed that under the cloud DC there are only two items. One is service network and one is VM network. A DV switch is not configured. We log on back to my APIC. We'll have to click the virtual networking. I have to tap VMware. We're going to right click the VMware and create a vCenter domain. In the virtual switch name, we'll have to make ACI DV switch and in associated attachable entity profile, here we would like to use create attach AEP. Okay, attachable. This one we're gonna name like ESX hosts BDS VLANs, and we'll click next. Because we don't have any leave interface configured currently, we just click finish. Then we'll have to select the enable tag collection. This is required for micro-segmentation using endpoint security groups, ESG, which are talk about it later. And scroll down, we have to create a VLAN pool, create a new VLAN pool. ESX hosts VDS VLANs. We're gonna pick dynamic association. Click the plus sign. We want to enter 1000 to VLAN 1500 and click OK and submit. Scroll Down here we have is virtual center vCenter credentials. Click this, and we're creating vCenter user username. Click OK, and keep scrolling down. In the vCenter table, we'll have to add the vCenter name. We say VC1. In the IP address, type in the IP address. Under DC data center, here we give it the cloud DC. So this name must match the data center name that is defined in vCenter. Okay. vCenter user. In the port channel mode drop box, we would like to select MAC ping and physical NIC load. Okay, and in LACP vSwitch policy, we make it LFDP, and we do a submit. Alright, expand VMware. We have is ACI DV switch. Go back to my vCenter. Here you go. We have created a vSwitch, distributed switch. Look at under DV switch, we will find VM distributed switch is added. Name is ACI distributed virtual switch. Well, next we'll talk about is applying an interface configuration. So we now use the interface configuration wizard to create these following configuration for the UCS server to connect to ACI fabric. The UCS server connect to leaf interface 1/4 and 1/5 on both switches that are showing in this diagram. Take a look at this creation, what we have to do. Let's return to my APIC. We're going to navigate fabric, then the access policies, find out interface configuration. In the interface configuration, we have to create a new one. First we'll create a leaf, export, Ethernet, and it's gonna be individual interface aggregation. The node, we have to select the node is leaf 1 and leaf 2. Interface, say 1 to 4, then to 5. 1, 4, and 5 on both. Leaf 1 and leaf 5, leaf 2. So leaf access port policy group here is required. We gonna to select and create a leaf access port policy group. The policy group interface, which is the interface template, is gonna to be applied to all interface on the ESXi host the VDS will use. Look here, this part we're gonna to create. We'll name as ESX host VDS. Go to my APIC ESX host VDS, and we'll have to create the AEP. Create a new AEP ESX host VDS VLANs. Let's take a look if I have already created this one. Oh yes, we created the ESX host VDS VLANs. We created this already. Let's select this. CDP. We're going to say system CDP disabled. Link level, we want to make it the 10 gig auto. LLDP, enable. So we have completed this part. CDP, LDP, 10 gig auto. This part will have been associated to my interface group, policy group. Okay, let's click save. We have to then click save again to the configuration interface. Now let's verify everything, the interface configuration, and we're going to enter a filter, say policy group. Filter is ESX host VDS. These are all the initial configuration were complete, and it's easy to add more servers by reusing these previous configuration. Then I will show you where to find the domains. We have a domain created, VMware domain. We have VLAN pool domain created. We have AEP created by this wizard. The pool, we have it. The policy, they have CDP policy, LD policy, link policy defined. Go to switch. With the policy, we can go to leaf interface, policy group. We have created this policy, remember, associated with the policies, interface policy, right? Next to it, we have to create access port selector. Two selectors, port 145, 1/4 and 5, and this my switch profile. You're seeing this. This one is created, and the leaf interface profile. The selector is here. Export selector and leave interface profile up to leave switch profile. Leave switch profile. Here you go. Is associated to interface selector and leave selector. So with all this wizard, this interface configuration quick start wizard, we have all of them configured. You may wondering, where is my virtual domain? This is under virtual network, VMware. Is configured here. Is ACI DV switch is gonna be my domain VM. And where's the pool associated to? Here you go. If you click ACI DV switch domain here, it's associated to the VLAN we have. Okay. Now go to fabric, policy, global, AP. We create this EXI host VDS VLAN, and it's my VM domain. Okay. The domain, remember, we have the pool, and goes to AEP. AEP goes to leave interface policy group associated. Okay, here you see you associate with a VMM domain, but how you want to know to associate where's this is actually in my leave interface policy group. Go to interface policy group EXI host. See here, AEP is also associated. It's all done by interface configuration wizard. You don't have to worry if you have done this. For the next step, we're going to add EXI host to the newly created DV switch. Log on to vCenter. I'm going to select the network tab. Right click the ACI DV switch, and we'll select the add and manage the host. In the selected task, let's verify that add host is selected. Click the next. We're going to pick a host. We have two hosts, EXI1, EXI2. Pick this 2, click the next. In the manager physical adapter page, let's click the drop down, my VMNIC2. Let's pick auto sign. Basically VNIC5. We are going to make a auto signed. Click next. Manage the VM kernel adapter. That's on next. Migrate VM networking next. And ready to complete page, let's click the finish. After that, go to host. We can see the host that we picked up already. Now let's go back to my APIC. On the APIC, we're going to go to virtual networking, expand the VMware. If the sub menu is not showing on the VMware after refreshing the server times, I will reset and reapply config. So the most common issue is entering the vCenter credential incorrectly. If you have this issue, for the next, we're going to select ACI DV switch. We'll highlight the ACI switch here and stay in the general. Tap for a minute till it's fully loaded to the page. I'm going to select the V switch policy. And here we can verify the policy has been created. See the port channel policy we created, LDP port created. We're already now expand the ACI DV switch and go to controllers, go to VC1, go to hypervisor. Let's expand the ESXi1 and for the host. And you will see all the VM NICs listed from 0 to 5. You'll see the diagram also. That's fine. Let's expand the list. DVS ACI switch. Let's expand the port groups. Let's click this port groups. Now we can see the port group has VNIC 2 and VNIC 5 on both VXLAN. We'll see the details.
Hey everyone, NetMaven here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to dive into the world of amazing network technologies with me, and please feel free to leave your comments below. Hey everyone, NetMaven here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to dive into the world of amazing network technologies with me, and please feel free to leave your comments below.